Do you ever feel like you just can't piece together your daily routine? Do you feel like life is chaotic sometimes? Or maybe you just feel disorganized? If this is you, I think part of the solution is actually creating better structure in your life. Now, there is no one solution to all of this that just fixes everything, because everyone has different ways on how they operate. Different things work better for other people than they do maybe for yourself. But these three things today that I'm going to share with you, I believe everyone can get some use out of them, and they can benefit from implementing these in their life to help create some sort of generalized structure. Thank you again to my members. I really do appreciate all the support. If you'd like to become a member, check out the link below in the description. You get your name up here in the video. You get access, early access to videos, and much more. I just really appreciate it. You can check all that out down below. But let's go ahead and hop into the video. And this is one that I am really excited about, because it's just something that I have been trying to learn myself as time has went on, and it's something that I am nowhere near perfect at right now, and I don't know if I ever will be perfect at this, but I want to talk about three pillars of structure, right? But in order to have a structure, you have to first have a foundation. So I want to tell you a little story. I work for a geotechnical engineering firm, and so what I do is I inspect houses, I inspect buildings that are being built. You see a bunch of orange equipment, yellow equipment, whatever city you live in. I usually inspect things that they are building, right? So I inspect the structural steel, I inspect the framing, so not just what the building is sitting on, but I inspect the actual structure of the buildings, right? Well, that structural steel and the framing is actually going to be useless if it isn't built on a good foundation, right? So in order to check if the foundation is good, we have to do a series of tests and make sure that the soil or the ground that it is sitting on will withstand whatever load is being put on that ground, right? The sturdiest material to build on is rock. And I want to read a Bible verse here for you, and this is from Matthew chapter 7, verses 24 through 27. It says, "Everyone then who hears these words of mine and does them will be like a wise man who built his house on the rock. And the rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house. But it did not fall, because it had been founded on the rock. And everyone who hears these words of mine and does not do them will be like a foolish man who built his house on the sand. And the rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat against the house. And it fell, and great was the fall of it." You see that those verses there in the Bible are talking about a correlation or a parable that Jesus is basically telling everyone that if you don't listen to his words, you're building your house on sand, something that's going to basically fall away. But if you do listen to his words, you're going to be wise, and you're going to be building your house on the rock, which will withstand these storms of life. And that is the thing, guys. No matter how much structure we put in our life, if you do not have a solid foundation and then your life is not built on God, then the storms of life will come and it will knock you over and you will fall, okay? Because everyone is going to have storms of life. The Bible talks about that. Everyone will have trials and tribulations, okay? And so these structures are going to be built on the biblical foundation that I have in my life, which is Jesus Christ, right? It is very important to have a firm foundation, right? And so now that we have the foundation, let's actually talk about the structure. And there's going to be three things, like I said, in my life that I'm trying to implement daily. The first one is having a plan, okay? A plan of action is a key to success in almost anything you do in life. It's not fail-proof by any means, because things cannot go according to plan. This happens every day, right? But we have things later in the video that actually help with this when life just comes at you and you don't expect something, right? But what plans do is it helps set goals and the precedent on what you can expect out of a said plan. Okay, so some examples of this could be, if you want to get into working out, then you need to make a plan of what workouts you're going to do every week, right? You don't want to just show up to the gym and just be like, oh, I think I'm gonna do this, and then I think I'm gonna go do this, and I think I'm gonna go do this. If you do that, it's just not gonna last. Believe me, I've done that for a lot of years. I used to play college football. When I had a plan, when I listened to the coach on what the plan was, and I had like a set time, that was so helpful, and I was able to get more benefit out of that than I have been able to when I actually lift by myself, right? So that's one example. Now, if you're going to start eating better, for instance, you need to make a plan of what food you want to eat or cut out. If you want to be more organized in life, you have to have a structure, right? And you need to make a plan on what that structure looks like. We will get more into this again in a little later in the video. But the point is, if you don't make a plan, a lot of times things will just not get done. They just won't, right? Can you imagine in a war setting if a general came into the room and was like, all right, fellas, we're just going to go into enemy lines, and then he just walked out of the room and didn't say anything? Those soldiers would probably be like, dude, what? Like, what's the plan, right? They have to have a plan. And again, I know that not everything you do in life, I know that not, getting up and making breakfast for yourself isn't fighting a war, but I'm just trying to explain that, the same situation applies with your life. If you don't have a plan each day, then it's going to be really difficult to kind of follow these next steps, right? So that next step is, now that you have a plan, no plan is any good if you don't have the discipline to live out the plan, right? So discipline is the next way to build structure. Discipline can be very small or it can be a very big thing. It can come in completely different packages for, anyone. Some examples of discipline, again, maybe, so say you plan to work out Monday, Wednesday, Friday, right? And those are the only days you could work out. But this Wednesday, your coworker comes to you and says, hey, I really want to go out and get some drinks. Wednesday, we're all going out. Do you want to go with us? Well, again, it may suck to say no. It may suck to not go out and get some drinks, right? And I'm not saying that it's bad to just forego the gym necessarily and go get drinks. I've been there, right? But what I'm saying is that that's a moment that you have to have discipline if you want to carry out your plan. You might have to be like, no, I plan to go work out tonight. Maybe I'll catch it on another week, right? Maybe if you have freer days that week that you didn't plan to go to the gym, you could alter the plan and you could go get some drinks and then go to the gym the next day. But the more that you put off something, right? Or you just make an excuse to put it away, or you just find something that's justifies yeah, I don't really want to do that. I've got this I'm going to do. It really starts deteriorating your plan. So having that discipline is really, really key. And if you practice that muscle of discipline, it really can help you. And believe me, again, y'all, I have done this a lot, right? And this is stuff that I have to practice daily to keep the structure in my life. Another example of discipline could be saving money, right? Maybe you bring a healthy lunch to work, but then someone at your work asks if you want to go get some pizza or something. And the disciplined response or the disciplined thing to do would be say, hey, I appreciate it, but I brought lunch today, and to eat that lunch. Now, again, that sucks because it just looks so much more appealing to go and get pizza, not have to eat your lunch. Sometimes it just feels so boring. I know that some people in this video know what I'm talking about. I do this a lot. Again, I am not perfect with these things, but you see that being able to say no to something might not be a bad thing, right? Sometimes it's a good thing to say no to something, right? Because you're not necessarily saying no to this, that's something that is inherently bad, but you're trying to have the discipline to just know that, hey, I can't do this today. I need to do what I had planned. Now, this really leads to our third thing, and this is, if you want to stay disciplined, you have to implement good boundaries, right? A lot of people, including myself, have had terrible boundaries in their life. I mean, I've just had terrible boundaries in a lot of ways, just so many different ways. Having good boundaries is key to not burning yourself out. It's also key to having a limit to which you can go each day. And in turn, it will help you stay within your plan and not go outside of your structure. Guys, God makes 24 hours in a day, right? That does not mean that you have to fill every single, hour up to when you sleep with something, right? You can go to bed earlier. You can wake up earlier, right? I'm not saying that that's for you. Some people like to be up later. Some people like to sleep in, right? I'm not saying you have to do either one of those, but I'm just trying to say that set boundaries for yourself. If you work 2 jobs, right? Like a side project, set boundaries for yourself every day. So when you come home for work, if you've got a family or if you've got, just relationship or something, don't necessarily just always be working on that side thing and neglect that person or that family member or that kid over there for something else. Like set a boundary, say like 9 o'clock is when I'm going to stop working on this, or I'm not going to work on this for 2 to 3 days. Or maybe if you're playing a lot of video games or something, you're like, you know what, I played a lot the last couple days, I'm going to take today and just, have a break, right? There's just different ways that you can set up boundaries in your life, right? And again, y'all, this is something that I've had to really work on, and it's part of kind of my story that I don't know, like if any of you that are watching were in my previous content here at the channel with Bobby Got This when I made video game content, but there was a lot of things in my life that suffered when I made content for Bobby Got This. I worked a full-time job basically for 2 to 3 years while doing that YouTube channel on the side. So I basically worked about 60 hours a week at least for like a good 2 years. And eventually I did the Bobby Got This channel full time, but I sacrificed some relationships. I neglected some relationships. I just did not do the things that I need to do because what I did is I did not have a boundary to where I overworked myself. I would stay up too late and it would just turn into me thinking I'm getting a lot done because I was, but in turn I was just tired. I was not, again, pouring into the things that I needed to pour into. And so not having those boundaries, guys, is something that I really relate to. And so I know that in our culture, especially in American culture, I know not everyone here is from America, but in the American Western culture, we are so like high pace. It's always go, 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 go. It's like FOMO, right? You're going to miss out on this if you don't do this. And you always have to get to the next thing. I'm here to tell you, you don't need to do that, right? You don't. Let's start setting an example in the world that we don't have to live like that, because I believe you don't, right? I believe that God gives you a certain amount of time in the day, and then at a certain point you need to cut it off, right? You need to rest, right? You need to spend time with other people. Having boundaries is a great way to build structure because it allows you to stay within your plan and not go beyond that, right? It allows you to stay disciplined sometimes when you have to say no to things. And so I believe that if you have a foundation of Jesus Christ, that's the best foundation that you can have ever, period. Okay? Then on top of that, you build on top of that a plan of action. You stay disciplined within that plan, and you create boundaries that are, reasonable and achievable that can help you stay disciplined and help you carry out your plan. I think if you do these 3 things, you will start to see some sort of structure in your life. I'd love to see down in the comments below what you guys think of this and if it's actually helped you. If you see this video maybe 2 years from now, I hope that it's something that will still bless you. But thank you again for being here. Again, thank you for my members. If you did like the video, make sure to like the video and subscribe. And again, I just really appreciate everyone. But until next time, y'all, I will see you guys on the next video. Later.